Hard to say which is more moving, the chemistry between Jack and Belle or Jack and Fagin.
Wait a minute. Another strong female lead that floats my boat?
Red and Red Real Reviews balances a life of crime and surgery with The Artful Dodger, Season 2 on Hulu. I knew within the first 5 minutes I was going to hate it, but then it was so bad. Ugh.
Nobody wants this. Like the
Literally
internet,
nobody
hold on,
wants this.
internet's gonna get mad at me for this one. There's no fat elf, you know.
Duty, which I can't say without laughing. Duty, like I'm English.
John B and Sarah are, I mean, I don't want to sound like a loser for saying this, but they're adorable. I'll admit it.
Welcome back to another episode of Red and Red Real Reviews. So today we're covering the second season of The Artful Dodger, which airs on Hulu for us Americans, and then it's on Disney Plus for our UK and Aussie friends. Before we get into it, let us know what you think of the podcast as a whole or a possible show we should have on our radar to cover by emailing us at redandredrealreviews@gmail.com and following us on Instagram. Our handle is Red and Red Real Reviews. And that's the letter N in real spelled with two E's. So here's where we left off for season 1 of Artful Dodger. Jack does a surgery to save Lady Belle. Inspector Gaines is shot. Fagin's blamed for it. He and Jack go to jail together. Fagin reveals that he has a pardon he obtained so he can get Jack and him out of jail for now. But he jokes that Jack is going to be his servant. And then
Yeah.
Lady Belle, she's saved, but her mom is like, I don't want you practicing medicine. I don't want you going near that Jack Dawkins guy at all. So, coming into this, we don't really know what's going to happen to Jack and Fagin because I think they ended with the shot of them in jail at the end of season 1. So we don't really
Yeah.
know what's going to happen to them. Like we know that Fagin has a pardon, but we don't know how it's going to work out. And then we have a new inspector, Inspector Boxer in town to fill in for Inspector Gaines. So we don't really know what to expect with Inspector Boxer. We're kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt. Truth is, we just don't know him. So we don't know whether he's good or bad. Is he going to be worse than Inspector Gaines, better than Inspector Gaines? So yeah, what were kind of your thoughts just going into this second season? You know, what were you expecting to see, or what were you hoping was going to kick off?
Well, I had an interesting feeling uh from season one going in here, but on the topic of the DI boxer, he almost instantly came off to me as a vast upgrade from Captain Gates.
Mm.
He came off as someone who was just generally good, wanted to do their job, serve, not this manipulative, conniving weasel that Captain Gage was. So right off the bat, this was like, well, not like it is, was the only real major casting change from season one. So that felt like an instant upgrade right off the bat. So I don't know if I'm crazy, but I kind of got that feeling almost instantaneously when this season started.
I was a little bit skeptical to start out because I was like, okay, this guy seems like he wants to just do his job, but I wondered if he was going to be able to be manipulated or bought, kind of like Gaines was. Like I just didn't know if he was going to appear to be coming in all innocent and like, oh, I'm just here to do my job, but then maybe have alliances or have corruption or shady things going on behind that. So I was a little skeptical of him. I did recognize the actor. I didn't end up looking him up, so I'm not sure what he's from. I almost want to say I almost want to say he's from Outlander, but I could very well be wrong.
He had a very familiar face. I know I haven't watched Outlander, but he does have a very familiar, um, like where he would be typecast in British or medieval type of roles. Uh, And the other thing with Boxer is that because of that feeling that he gives the audience, you also kind of wonder, you don't have that easy cop out antagonist, no pun intended, part of my words. Um, that Gaines filled very conveniently. So it also makes you feel like, okay, if he's maybe more a good guy than a bad guy, or at worst a pain in the side, a thorn in the side,
Right.
then who's going to be the antagonist of this? So it kind of makes you wonder that as well.
Yeah, so you're wondering whether it's going to be like Fagin and Jack versus this guy, like
Right.
it was with Gaines, or whether it's just gonna take he's going to be on the back burner, like, oh, this guy's annoying, like he needs to get off our back.
Yeah. And season one as a whole was okay
Mm,
to me, but
mm,
I really didn't get hooked until the end with Lady Belle and her self-diagnosis of her aortic
mm.
aneurysm. So this hit me in the feels for very obvious reasons, having gone through that myself. And it also piqued my interest of my affinity for medical dramas and seeing how the show would illustrate a very primitive solution to solving her problem, with my own familiarity in a kind of modern medical sense.
Yeah, and I know we were kind of joking at the end of the last episode that we were kind of tickling both our fancies with this one because it's the medical drama that you like. It's kind of like a period piece house. And then
Yeah,
for me it's like I like the period shows. I watch Outlander, I watch Bridgerton and stuff like that. So we were kind of saying it checks the boxes for both of us. But yeah, I would kind of echo your feelings about season 1. Like I thought it was pretty good, and I only really got hooked at the end, and not necessarily that I could relate to the aortic aneurysm part, but
yeah,
I also kind of came wrapped up into the Lady Belle and Dodger love story. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit, but I I was like moved to tears in those last couple of episodes with their chemistry and their performance. And I don't know, it's just really compelling. Like it just really felt real. It felt palpable. So that's what reeled me in for the first season. But I was kind of like, okay, where are we going to be? Are we going to be better than the first season? Is it going to be, you know, worse than the first season? I wasn't really knowing where it was going to go or where my expectations were.
right. And the house thing is funny because it came off as a joke, but as far as comparing this to a, you know, pre-existing medical drama, I think House is the closest comparison
It
because
is.
Dodge is very out of the box. He's not a traditional doctor. I mean, granted, Gregory House was in a, learned educational sense, but
Mm.
not in a how he kind of diagnoses and treats symptoms and that sort of thing. So Dodge's non-traditional approach to medicine is a bit more comparable to Dr. House than, most other medical dramas.
Yeah, and actually the way that a patient comes in and this weird thing is happening to them, and Belle and Dodge are trying to figure it out. It's like I won't spoil it because there's like a pretty gross moment, but I was thinking of, House in the Pit because there's been so many weird medical scenarios that when this scenario came up, and I think it was like the middle of the season, maybe towards the end of the season, I I was obviously very grossed out, and I was like, "Oh, is that really possible, or is that a thing that can happen?" And I had to look on Chat GPT, and Chat GPT was like, "Wow, that's wild. What did you see that on?" And I was like, "Artful Dodger." uh, but yeah, it is medically possible. So when you get to that, you'll know. So what would be the reason that you would tell people to pursue and to watch season 2 of Artful Dodger?
So I get a chuckle out of this because this wouldn't be the first time we've covered a show where I choose a female lead as my favorite character. We've had it happen with Dr. McKay in the pit. We've had it happen with Alice. in Shrinking. We've had it happen with Nancy Wheeler. And I'm going to keep that wheel spinning because Lady Belle, and it doesn't hurt that her, medical mishaps are something
Mm,
very relatable to me. But
yeah.
Lady Belle is very much a favorite of mine in this show. And I never heard of this actress, Maya Mitchell. She's a
Mm,
vaguely familiar face, but I think she also could just have one of those faces.
right.
Math is a little deceiving because she was born in 93, which to me, I
Yeah.
think, oh, 93, that's recent. And then I realized, like, no, not really. She's still in her 30s. So she's been active for a little bit.
Yeah, I looked at the birthdays for Maya Mitchell as well as Thomas Brody Sangster, who plays Dodger, and I think they're around the same age. They're roughly like 5 or 6 years younger than me. So yeah, they're in like their early to mid 30s. So they've been around a while. And Maya Mitchell, too, I recognize her. She is from one of those ABC family shows or Fox Family. I don't know what the hell that channel is called. Freeform? Is it Freeform
TGIF?
still? No, TGIF was on ABC, but yeah, like this was like the family channel when we were little, and I don't
Yeah.
know what the hell it's called now, if it's even still around. But when they had a bunch of original dramas on that channel in like the early 2000s or mid 2000s, she was on this show called The Fosters, where she played a foster kid, obviously. So I did recognize her from that, but she's been in a bunch of weird stuff, random stuff, and I think it kind of makes sense that she would be on like a Hulu/Disney show because she was
Yeah.
on some Disney Channel, Disney stuff in the past.
Yeah. Probably a lot of background connections as far as executive level and producer level. That's casting, that sort of thing. There's probably a lot of similar corporate type of connections there.
Yeah, or she could have a deal with ABC with Disney. So yeah, I don't know. I Seeing her in the last season, I was like, oh, who is this girl? She does look familiar, and I I think she needs to be in more shows. She needs to be in more movies because I feel like yes, she came from the Family Channel. Yes, she came from Disney, but I feel like people are sleeping on her talent.
Oh, they definitely are. And especially knowing that background, this does not, like, her role here does not feel cheesy. Not at
No.
all. And I mean, the obvious is out. The obvious for me is out of the way already. The heart surgery, instant connection. But she's also very determined. She knows what she
Mm,
wants. She's not afraid to stand up to authority.
right.
Always, always very prominent for me to notice on screen. Whether that's the police presence with Captain Gaines at first, she's very against him, especially with
Mm,
his negativity towards Dodge.
hmm
And then with Boxer, even though Boxer has a more softer approach, she's not afraid to challenge him as well. Or, I hate to use the term patriarchy because screw that nonsense. But um, this kind of overbearing male stereotype of the
Yeah.
time in the OR with Dr. Steed very much exemplifies that, and Bell kind of throws that back in his face quite a bit because Snead very often does not make the right decisions. Very talented doctor, and he's not so egocentric to completely shoot down Bell and Dodge all the time, but he still kind of has this traditional sense of no, that's not right because this is what the literature says. He says that multiple times. So she's not afraid to go up against him and challenge his kind of more traditional
Mm.
medical leanings. And then, of course, her absolute beast of a mother, Lady Jane. She's not afraid to go up against her, who throughout this season, and you kind of caught it about halfway through season one as well. But this season particularly, uh, I'll borrow a phrase from you from our Mobland episode. Mega biatch is indeed Lady Jane here.
Yeah, and I don't know how old Belle is supposed to be. I don't know. And I don't know how old Dodger is supposed to be, but I don't know, it does kind of feel relatable to me, the relationship that Belle has with her mother, like the same relationship I had with my mom when I was a teenager. And I think she's supposed to be in her 20s. Maybe she is only like 18. I mean, I don't really know. She is 33 or 35 in real life. So I mean, of course they have 30-year-olds playing 18, 20-year-olds. That's not unusual, but I don't know what her age is, but it does echo for me that, like, oh, I want to do what I want to do and you're preventing me from doing that, mom. Like, get off my back, that whole sentiment. So she just wants to be independent and she really wants to do this medical thing, and her mother's just not willing to cut the cord.
Well, and it adds to the, right, wrong, or indifferent. The state of the times was, a wealthy family has children. When they have
Mm-hmm.
daughters, they, wed the daughters off to, a wealthy male, and it is what it is. So maybe Belle's getting to the point where she's kind of pushing that timing of when
Mm-hmm.
the family's supposed to do that. And, she's got these career ambitions and surgical ambitions, and, that doesn't jive well with the traditional sense of the time. And Bell also, even at certain points, challenges Dodge, because
Mm-hmm.
Dodge is very instinctual. He has a lot of, he goes by his gut, goes with his gut a lot when he's making his diagnoses and his plans for treatment and surgical go forwardness, for lack of a better word.
Mm-hmm.
And she challenges quite a bit because she's someone that's very well read and has studied the literature despite society not being accepting of actually letting her practice.
And there's no mention of it in this season, but in the first season, wasn't there a whole thing where we find out that Dodger can't read and she
Yeah.
learns that?
Oh, they
And
refer to it constantly. They refer to that constantly.
yeah, maybe I just didn't notice, but yeah, so they're literally like a package deal because she has to be the one that can go into the books and try to figure out a situation, and he's the one that kind of is more like the hands-on part of the duo. So they kind of work together that way. Like, not only do they have chemistry as a couple, but they also like work hand in hand as a team as far as their job or what occupation she's trying to get into, like in this training.
Energy.
Oh geez, I
Sorry,
wasn't
can't
about to use
resist.
that term.
Can't resist it.
Yeah, but I mean, she's clearly intelligent, and you do see Dr. Sneed. You see more of him in this season, and I think you realize that he just might be a decent guy. He kind of sees the reality of what Belle brings to the surgery and what Dr. Dawkins brings. So, and this is a time when, like, it would be unheard of for women to be surgeons. Like, that's the way that her mom reacts, is like, oh, you can't do this. Oh
Yeah.
Lord, you can't be a
Oh
surgeon.
no,
You're just a lady.
a
Like,
fan maiden. Yeah, it creates an interesting triangle dynamic with Sneed too, because he kind of bridges together Dodge's practical nature and Bell's uh, book learnings, and it kind of is a meshing point between the two of them. It's a weird little triangle they got going on.
yeah. Speaking of weird little triangles, so my one thing for the reason to watch season 2 of Artful Dodger would be the chemistry of this cast. And I'm talking more specifically about a couple different relationships. So in the first season, I was moved by these couple of relationships. And so there's a lot more of that in this season. So the first relationship I wanted to talk about that is very moving and continues in this season is the sort of like father-son relationship that Jack and Fagin have. And what we've found out is that Jack was a baby and Fagin kind of like took him in ever since he was a toddler or baby. So they've known each other for so long. They kind of get in each other's way. They annoy the hell out of each other. But at the end of the day, their allegiance is to each other. And they always kind of say, because they're criminals, like, oh, you have to look out for numero uno. But at the same time,
Yeah.
they're still like, yeah, but also you, because like you're my dude. So I don't know, what did you, I know you're a big fan of David Thewlis. So what did you kind of think about the father son relationship or the chemistry there?
Yeah, but all the way back to when he played at Dragonheart, way back in the mid-90s.
Oh
If you
geez.
know, you know. If you know, you know, with Dennis Quaid. The the more younger generations will know him from Harry Potter.
Oh right.
I honestly thought Fagin and Dodge have this very combative father-son relationship. You
Mm,
know, it's like Dodge routinely. I don't. Maybe it's just because of his feelings for Lady Belle. He wants to push away from Fagin at times,
yeah.
but he still and Belle even calls him out at times where he still has this drive for criminal behavior because it gets him going, kind of
Yeah.
what lights his lamp, so to speak. So, um, he has these moments where he still goes to Fagin, but he also pushes Fagin off, very back and forth. So there's combat there, but the chemistry of the show overall centers on Fagin because he's the glue
Mm,
amongst all the other cast members. You know, it's him and Dodge. It's him and his little ragtag Misfit Toys group with
yeah.
Flashy and Apuni, Roddy. There's another character, very prominent character in the show. I don't want to spoil anything, but he winds up having a very
Mm,
dynamic chemistry with that
yeah.
character.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so his nature of tying everyone together, the chemistry aspect of Artful Dodger is all tied to Fagin, really. And I think a lot of that is credited to David Thewlis's longer acting career compared to most of the characters in the show, or most of the actors in the show, I should say.
Yeah, and he's very good. Like there's a couple times I've laughed out loud just at the things he says, or he's just ridiculous because he is this like con artist basically. I mean, he's a criminal, but he's funny. And I mean he does have a heart though, in some ways you don't think he does, and he does have a heart, but yeah, it's just there's that constant butting of heads because Jack is like, I understand we're criminals and we've done a lot of bad things in the past, but like, let's do things right. Like, I want to be, I want to be better. And Fagin kind of drags him down in some ways and is like, no, let's do this. Like, the way we team up, we're so good together when we do crime. So
Yeah.
it's this constant thing where, Fagin is like, let's do this. And Jack is fighting it. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be like that anymore. So, yeah, there's a lot of back and forth with that. But they do have great chemistry as actors, I think.
Yeah, and he's always like all this time he's trying to weave out his schemes, all these scams he's got going on. He winds up taking some heat from the pretty unsavory people later into the season. Norbert Fagin is very much controlled chaos, and the friction, maybe that's the word I was looking for before. His friction with Dodge is very much at the center of that because of really not so much because of Fagin, but because of Dodge. Dodge's desire to, or not desire, but his conflict, his internal conflict.
Yeah, and it's also too, Jack and Fagin sort of depend on the criminal things so that they have money, or that they have some means of like surviving and living. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the difficult thing that I think Jack deals with, is that he knows that he couldn't really survive if it weren't for Fagin, and if it weren't for Fagin's schemes. Like, he's kind of like I don't really want to be doing this or involved with this, but like I gotta live.
It's a little symbiotic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great word for it. And then sort of uh, I would say sort of a similar tone to a relationship, but it's a romantic one, Jack and Belle kind of have a why are you the way you are? Oh my God, you're so frustrating relationship, but they're still drawn to each other because they know that they work well together as a team.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just have that chemistry. And like I said, the actors like move me to tears. Like it feels real when they're doing these scenes. And I've sometimes you just don't see that in shows. Like you really believe that they're together. Like that's what really gets you. Like I can kind of see from a sane perspective how these I don't know if you've ever heard of like parasocial behaviors, but it's this concept that the way things are these days, people think that they're really making a connection or that they really know these celebrities or these actors or these musicians. And when they're a fan of somebody, they feel like they know them, and that they're a part of their life. And so like, I could make an argument for why we have like Jack and Belle stands out there or who like ship their relationship and are just like crazy about them because it feels so real. So it's like, I get it.
It's kind of like, and tell me if I'm off base here, but it's almost like Jon Snow and Egret
Yeah.
a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great comparison. I could kind of see that. And obviously they have that like opposites attract kind of thing because it's also I'm trying to think of an example. I you're gonna laugh, but it's not relevant at
Oh
all. But
boy.
the first example I think of is Save the Last Dance, where it's
Oh
like,
gosh.
you
With
why
what's her
can't I
face?
Julia
Oh, the
Stiles?
girl with
Why
the round face, the blood, Julia Stiles. Well,
why
Julia
can't
Stiles,
I
that was
think
Julia
of a
Stiles, right?
why can't I think of a better example of like they're like she's a rich girl and he's on the wrong side of the tracks, like kind of relationship. Why can't I think of a better example than that?
Save the Last Dance is the first thing you come up with. What the hell did that come out? 1998?
Oh no, it was 2000 or 2001.
All right, I'll take that as a partial win. That's
I literally in middle school I took a few of my friends to the movie theater. My mom said I could for my birthday and we watched that. So that came out in January 2000, 2001. No, maybe it was 1999. You could be right or close.
oh, oh.
But anyway, so I think, yeah, there is like an opposites attract element, but like it's also there's a worry of, okay, if there's such different people and they come from such different backgrounds, he was a baby and he became a criminal, like how are they going to be together? And if they have so many people like Belle's mom trying to force them apart, how are they going to be together? And maybe that is more appealing to certain people. It's like you want what you can't have. Maybe that's what makes it exciting and appealing for them is like, oh, he's forbidden. Oh, I have to stay away from him. Oh no. Like
They
I don't know if
they
that's an
have
element of it.
they do have a very much love doesn't always make sense feel about them
Exactly.
because even physically, like I'm not saying Dodge is a bad looking guy, but he does have a kind of an odd look to him, as
He
opposed to
does.
Belle has a very traditional beauty to her.
Yeah, and I don't know if people realize this, but Thomas Brody Sangster, he's probably 5 or 6 years younger than me. So yeah, he's in his mid 30s. He is the kid from Love Actually, if you're aware of that. He was in like the Maze Runner movies. He was in Game of Thrones. But to me, he's like a literal man child. And I don't mean that to be insulting to him. It's just he's got a child's face on a man's body and he's like very
Yeah.
tall and skinny. So he looks kind of like he reminds me of like what one of my nephews is going to look like when he grows up. But yeah, I mean, you have to realize this guy is a full-blown adult. He's married to Elon Musk's ex-wife or one of his ex-wives. And like he he does look very young. I mean, I don't know how old his character is supposed to be, but yeah, his chemistry somehow with Maya Mitchell, like with him being this awkward young looking guy, it works. I don't know. It's sort of an odd coupling visually, but it works somehow.
Yeah, it does their chemistry on screen very much does work. It just
Hmm.
feels weird at the same time because the the alternative for her, you know, maybe boxer, and boxer is someone more of a like traditional masculine, handsomeness type of thing.
Right.
So it's very much you very much have a stark comparison of emotions versus physical attraction here.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so. All right. So let's render the verdict. Should people watch season 2 of Artful Dodger?
I'm gonna say yes, and I think this is one of those rare occasions where the encore was better than the premiere.
Mm,
There's way more going on in season two than in season one, but it flowed well and it tied
yeah.
together nicely. But I'm gonna say this with a little bit of a caveat because with all the momentum that season two had and gained throughout, the way it ended, to me, it doesn't feel like I'm not sure where they can go with it. Like I feel like
Yeah.
there was an opportunity to really set up another season, and they kind of left it in more of a nicer place. So I'm not. I kind of had all these anticipation of like, oh, this is great. This is gonna set up for big things, and then it didn't happen. So now I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect either, but I do agree with you. I of course will watch well, I would urge people to watch the second season. I would say definitely yes. And I would say that this second season for me was better than the first. And that doesn't happen a lot. I think it because it was more organized, it had more direction than the first season. Like, yes, there's chaos because these are criminals. You have Fagin all over the place running his schemes. But all that being said, it was just story wise, it was more organized and it had more direction and it held my interest even more than the first season. So, um, I mean, I don't typically like the modern approach that some of these shows these days use where they have a period piece but they use like modern rock songs. I don't normally like that, but I uh I think like the first time that was done is like back in probably 2000. A Knight's Tale with Heath Ledger was out, and didn't they use
Yeah,
like We Will Rock You by Queen? And
I think they
that
used a
was
lot of
like
contemporary music. They used a lot of
that
contemporary
was
music in that
yeah, that
movie.
was kind of the first time that had been done. And now they do it a bunch. They did it in that House of Guinness show. They've done it in like those gritty kind of shows that I've seen, but I don't typically like it, but I it fits here somehow. And again, I don't know if it's the style of things, but they used song 2 by Blur in the first episode of the season, which
Yeah,
people probably don't know what song 2 is. It's the woohoo. Everybody knows that song, the rock
yeah.
song. And then like they used a Wolf Mother song, which people probably would definitely would recognize. So yeah, I'm in. If there's more of the rock songs, if they can take this story and even more exciting direction and up the ante and make season 3 even better than season 2, I'm in. And I think people should be in on season 2 as well.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as the music goes, I also think not only that it didn't bother me, but I also think it added to it. I think it really added to the way of the way the show went, and there was a lot going on in season two, and none of it felt distracted. It was still focused.
No, no, it never really felt slow at all. I never felt like I was going on my phone like, when is this over? Like I never felt I never felt that way at all. And like I can be very easily distracted. I was definitely focused in more. And so I would say if people enjoyed season 1, season 2, you'll probably like even better.
Yeah, I mean, as our audience can tell, I've probably been feeling a little under the weather this week. Had I not been, I probably would have banged this out in 2 days.
Yeah, as would I. Well, if you enjoy listening to our show, we would appreciate it if you gave us a 5-star review. Let us know what you think of each episode. Also, be sure to hit that follow or subscribe button so you know when new episodes release. Next up, here's another return to a show we really enjoyed the first time around, and it's Paradise. season 2 on Hulu. We've got our bud Sterling K. Brown. And in season 1 was really, really great. And I don't think enough people knew about this show, but I hope they keep knowing about this show. But we're going to see if, like Artful Dodger, if season 2 of this show can be even better than the first one. Or is it going to be just as good? Is it going to live up to the hype? I don't know. But we're just excited to see our bud again, Sterling K. Brown.
Yeah, it took a little season 2 break, but we're back. We're back.
Yep, we're back. So we'll tell you whether that one is worth watching. Until the next Real Review, Red and Red signing out.